During the last Nintendo Direct, there were a bunch of third-party games announced for the Nintendo Switch that were already released on other platforms, but there were quite a few surprises when it came to that. Games like Okami HD, the Crash Insane trilogy, and Undertale were really games that I don't think a lot of people expected to end up on the Nintendo Switch, but arguably the biggest game of them all that was announced was South Park, The Fractured Butthole, a game that just doesn't seem like it would be on a Nintendo platform, especially if you grew up in the early 90s when Nintendo was so against things like this being in their video games. But South Park, The Fractured Butthole was confirmed for the Nintendo Switch, and I think a lot of people were surprised, myself included. But honestly, I was pretty happy. I had played the Stick of Truth, but I never finished it, but I was definitely looking forward to checking out The Fractured Butthole. I didn't check it out last holiday season as I was busy with other games, so for it to be on the Nintendo Switch and I could take it with me wherever I go just seemed like something really cool and really positive. So Ubisoft sent over a review copy of this game, so shout outs to Ubisoft for letting me check out this game early, and today I present you with a review of South Park The Fractured Butthole, which is honestly probably one of the freshest RPGs I've played in a long time. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about the game known as South Park The Fractured Butthole for the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards!
So yes, this game is a strategy RPG, and as with most RPGs, South Park The Fractured Butthole has a riveting story, a story that'll just grip you to your core and shake you and just throw you around with a turmoil of emotions. There's a missing cat, and the reward is $100, and you are the new kid in town, and Cartman, heading up Coon and Friends, wants you to help them find this cat so they can get the $100, so they can put it into Coon and Friends and expand the adventure. And Coon and Friends, of course, is based on Cartman's little reality world where he is a superhero, and everyone in South Park has their own different sort of superhero things. There are different superhero factions, and of course, everyone has to fight against the 6th graders, so on and so forth. The story itself actually folds out in a really interesting way though, because while the main goal is to, of course, find this cat and get the $100, there are so many side deviations and so many things going on that build up in different parts of the story that it feels like you're watching like a really long block of South Park episodes. It just has a continuous theme, sort of like a 10-part episode with a lot of different deviations, a lot of the characters that you know and love. Pretty much every character that's a main character, even minor characters in the South Park universe, is here, and that's something that I really enjoyed about the game, was the authenticity of it, because it reminded me a lot of when we got Simpsons Hit and Run. Simpsons Hit and Run, in my opinion, is the best Simpsons game because it puts you in the town of Springfield. South Park The Fractured Butthole puts you into South Park, and you could go around the town, you could go to different establishments and businesses. Of course, there's places like Raisins that you'll come across, which is a fake Hooters. The school is there, Town Hall is there, all of the memorable spots, and of course, everyone's home is there as well. So it's very familiar, but it's so much fun to just be able to explore the town of South Park and be able to do all these different little things. Now, like I said, this is a strategy RPG game, so a lot of it is focused on the gameplay, and honestly, getting into it, I didn't know quite what to expect because it's South Park. I expected it to be very tongue-in-cheek, but I did not expect the gameplay to be as good as it was. First and foremost, let's talk about the battle system, because that is the most important thing in any RPG. Basically, it takes place on a grid system, and your characters, as you level up, can move a different amount of squares, or, as you go along, you can access more squares, but you have basically a set path of area that you can traverse. Now, you can go into this one-on-one, or you could team up with friends, and what I really like about it is how the game sort of expands how you choose your teammates. So if you're getting into a battle, you could choose up to 3 different people to join you in the battle, 3 different characters in Coon and Friends' association. But what I like about it is right before a battle starts, you could change out any characters you want. So if you want to go a different route and you want to have different characters, you can do that. You can also gain more characters as the game progresses as well, and I really like that about the game because it keeps the gameplay fresh. Since you're constantly getting new characters, you could try out different things, and it doesn't just go with just characters, it does it with battle mechanics as well. You're still learning new battle mechanics like 20, 30 hours into the game. It's crazy how much they put into this game, but how they spread it out. And that's what makes everything just so fresh and so fun, is how the battle system is just basically sprawled out, and you don't learn everything right off the bat. You don't get everything right off the bat. You have to earn it as you level up your character. And because of that, the gameplay just constantly stays fresh. Between that, new abilities and new characters constantly coming into your party, you never get bored with it. And of course, there are different attacks as well. You could choose a layout basically for your character, and then you get a secondary layout, and then you can mix and match different attacks from those two layouts that you choose. You can also change your layout at any time. So if you want to choose a different style of character, if you want to focus more on speed than power or something, you can do that. And I really like that. It just keeps everything so fresh when you're playing in the battle system. And inside of the battle system, there are different effects that affect different enemies. So for instance, you can lay out a big fart and the characters will be grossed out and they'll be throwing up, taking continuous damage. There's electricity. If you're playing as the coon, you can slash them and they'll be bleeding out. There's so many different little deviations and so much strategy in the actual gameplay that it's literally one of the deepest RPGs that I've ever played. And it's crazy to say that because it's obviously South Park, but as a strategy turn-based RPG, it is just so fresh and it's so much fun. Plus, there's so much customization as well. There's a crafting system that allows you to craft different things. There's an artifact system where you gain different artifacts as you level up your character. You gain different artifact slots, and you can assign different artifacts to your character to either give him more of a stamina boost or more of a health boost, or add in different things. It's just so much to do, but it never really feels overwhelming. And that's pretty much really one of the motifs of the game, is that there is so much to do, but it never really feels overwhelming. In between missions, if you don't want to go to the next mission, you could go into the town itself and just sort of look around and get in random battles. And one thing I like about the random battles is every time you see them. So, you approach the character, you can either hit him with some gas or run up and punch him to get the advantage. It's not any just sort of random pop-up battles. You see the characters and you can choose whether or not you want to engage them, which is a big plus in my book. But there's just so much to do. You could go into town, like I said, and go into different shops and buy different things, buy different outfits, because you can really customize your character as well. I think I did a good job with my character and he looks pretty good. And I definitely said gerb, kind of like they took a gerb. The content in South Park: The Fractured Butthole is definitely very South Park. There is jokes about pretty much everyone and every type of person, from, a straight white male to a transgender black person. Like, there are so many funny jokes in there, and it's definitely the South Park universe. If you're not a fan of crude humor, if you're not a fan of very tongue-in-cheek stuff, if you're not a fan of the South Park universe, you don't like the television show, you don't like the movies, you don't like anything about it, this will not make you a believer in the South Park universe. But I absolutely loved it. I love a good joke. I like it when people can laugh at themselves, and this game is very funny. It's so over the top that people shouldn't take it seriously, but, I'm sure there will be people that do. But it's something that, since South Park is so established and, the writers are so well known, they can get away with saying some crazy stuff like that because everyone knows it's just a joke. And that's what really makes the game shine, is the content and the writing in it. It's very well done. There's tons of funny gags, there's funny jokes, stuff that you would expect in the show, stuff that you would expect, in the South Park universe that happens within this game. And it's very great. They didn't really reel it back or censor it for being a video game. If anything, they sort of went more over the top with it and had a little bit more creative freedom than they do on cable television. So I really like that aspect of the game. So one thing I'm sure a lot of people are wondering is, how does the game perform? Obviously, this is a port of a PS4 and an Xbox One game, and while it's not the most graphically challenging game in the entire universe, it is still a PS4 and Xbox One game being ported to the Nintendo Switch. And I would say, for the most part, they did a fantastic job with this port. There were a few instances that I noticed where there was just little hiccups. Sometimes a character would get their dialogue cut off and the sound would just cut off. Sometimes the sound sounded a little bit hollow. There was a few instances where it seemed like the game would just speed up a little bit for no reason, and once in a while the game would slow down a little bit in certain areas. I don't know if that happened in the other versions of the game, but it's very minimal and nothing really worth, reporting on, but it does happen from time to time. time. So I don't know if those were just original problems in the original game or if those are just Switch specific, but I did want to mention them. Now, as far as the Switch difference is concerned, there's not really much added stuff here, but there is something that it really isn't talked about, but that's touchscreen controls. Now, that was one thing that I really liked in the game, was that I could just touch an area if I wanted to go and punch it or something, and I could do that. It didn't really say anything about touchscreen controls in any of the tutorials that I saw, but I just sort of stumbled upon it. So if you like being able to touch the screen, you can do that in this game. The controls are very nice. You never really feel like you're not controlling your character. Everything is nice and fluid. The battle system, like I said, is absolutely fantastic, and the controls are very easy to use. There's lots of quick time events in the battle system as well. So you'll be able to charge up your attacks by tapping a certain button, or you'll need to hit a certain button at a certain time to build up a more powerful attack. And there's lots of fart stuff that you're doing too. There's just so much stuff in the gameplay that you're constantly doing that it constantly keeps itself fresh. Now, South Park: The Fractured Butthole did come out on the PS4 and the Xbox One last fall, and there has been subsequent DLC for the game, and if you purchased it on those systems, there was actually a bonus pack where you got the Stick of Truth for free as well. None of that is included in the Switch version of the game. You do not get the Stick of Truth for free, but I kind of didn't expect it because that was never on a Nintendo platform, so that would sort of be another port that they needed to do. It is a shame though that none of the DLC in the game is free. I figured they could have at least included 1 or 2 DLC packs for free for Nintendo Switch owners, but they didn't, and everything is still there. You could still download it, you could still buy it, but it would have been nice to have one of these packs for free as sort of a thank you to Nintendo Switch owners for paying the $60 for the game, because this game is a full $60. But honestly, I feel like it's worth it. If you are only a Nintendo Switch owner, South Park: The Fractured Butthole is one of the freshest RPGs that I've played in a long time. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time now, and it's just a very, very well crafted game. From the writing, the combat system, the customization, the crafting system, everything is just super, super top notch and very well done. A very high production value went into this game, and it really shows. There's many nods to the series as well, many inside jokes that only hardcore South Park fans would get, but as a South Park fan, I absolutely loved it. Would have been nice to have some free DLC, a little something to say thank you to the Nintendo Switch owners, but Ubisoft did a really solid job with this game. If you don't own a PS4, you don't own an Xbox One or a gaming PC, and you have not played this game, I highly suggest you check it out. Even if you're just an RPG fan who has a little bit of a dark side in their humor, you will enjoy this game. If you absolutely hate South Park, you will absolutely hate this game. Trust me on that. But if you do like South Park even just a little bit, the strategy RPG elements in this game are just fantastic. I absolutely had a blast with this game. It's definitely something that I feel like I could play through multiple times as well and still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. There's so many side quests, so much stuff to do in the town of South Park that it's definitely a top-notch game and a top third-party port from Ubisoft on the Nintendo Switch. So, those are my thoughts on South Park: The Fractured Butthole for the Nintendo Switch. A fantastic game top to bottom, a true joy to play, and definitely a game that I will play through multiple times on my Nintendo Switch because it's just that damn good. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you have any questions about South Park: The Fractured Butthole, let me know in the comments section down below. I will do my best to answer them as much as I can. And thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I do Switch reviews, Xbox One reviews, PS4 reviews, retro game reviews, retro system reviews. There's all sorts of reviews on this channel. Discussions, all sorts of fun stuff. We're close to 95,000 subscribers. There are going to be giveaways at 95,000 to 100,000 subscribers. We are getting to that 100,000 subscriber mark, which is just absolutely insane. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all my Patreon backers. I love all you guys. If you really enjoy my face, join our Patreon community. Check out some t-shirts. Check out the website in the description box down below. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook. There's all sorts of social media, all sorts of ways to keep up to date with the world of RGT 85, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Screw you guys, I'm going home. Later.